Very good morning, children. Well, in today's class of economic application, we shall, continue the lesson which we had started in the last class, that is factors of production. Okay, today's topic, the importance of land, and first we're going to see the function and the importance of land, then the productivity of land. These are the two topics that we are going to discuss today. But before we go on to proceed on to this topic, a better recap on what we did in the last class. Well, in the last class we talked about the characteristics of factors of production, and we also made a classification of factors of production. And among the four factors of production, land, labor, capital and organization, we have started the first factor of production, that is land. We also talked about the characteristics of land. Okay, so let's get started. Today's topic, that is importance of land. Okay, the first importance of land we are going to see in terms of agricultural development. Okay, well, see, the agricultural development of the country largely depends upon what? The quality and the quantity of the land that is available. Okay, well, and besides that, it also, the land also provides various natural resources in the form of, say, forest or say mineral resources. So this way, land plays land plays important role in the agricultural development of the country. Well, now we'll see the importance of land in terms of industrial development. That's point number 2. Okay, see, land also plays a very important role in the industrial development, because the various raw material, the various kinds of raw material that we require in these industries are obtained from where? From land. Alright, well, the next point is, how does land help in the development of, means of transport and communication? Let's find out that. Okay, see, land facilitates various means of transport and communication in the country. Okay, and besides that, other water bodies like sea coasts or say rivers, they provide navigation facilities for transportation. Now I'm talking about the water bodies also here when I'm talking about land. Why? Because I've already explained in the last class that in economics, land is not just the surface of the earth. As I said, it includes all the gifts of nature that nature has given us freely. So there, even water bodies like so-called river, mountain, etc. is included as land, isn't it? That's why I'm including this, that is sea coast and rivers also provide what? Navigation facilities for transportation. Okay, so land facilitates what? Various means of transport and communication in the country. So this way it also helps in the development of transport and communication. Okay, well, the next point is now we'll see in what way land is important to man. All right, well, see, land resources is very, very important to man. Why? Because man not only live on the land, but also performs various or also performs all the what all the activities in in the land itself. They just not only live in the land, but various kinds of activities, whether you are you're growing crops or you're earning a living or etc. Every kind of activity is done by man on land. Okay, so if you see that 95% of the basic needs that we require, like the food, shelter, clothing, etc., that is obtained from land itself. So this way what we see is that land is also very, very important for what? Important for man. Okay, I mean to man rather. So, well, that's about the importance of land to man. But now we can see that land is not only, we saw the various importance of land here, but and we also saw that land is a source of so many natural resources in the country. So among those resources, there is one resource which is very important, and that is electricity. Okay, so land is also a very important source of what? Electricity. Okay, so not only electricity, land is also a source of various rich reserves, like, as I said, coal, petroleum and water, which enables the country, and these are the things which enables the country to generate large amount of electricity. You understand? So, well, the next topic is the productivity of land. Well, what do you mean by, first of all, what do you mean by the productivity of land then? Well, by productivity of land, we mean the capacity, okay, the capacity of the land to produce what? Crops. So that is the meaning of what? Productivity of land. Okay. Now we will see the next topic, that is the factors determining the productivity of land. Okay. So what are the factors? Now what are we going to discuss here is what are the factors that makes the land, that makes, the land productive or unproductive, or what are the factors that, helps in increasing or decreasing the productivity of land, that we're going to see now. All right. Well, the first factor is the natural factor, of course. See, productivity of the land largely, is largely determined by its natural, what? Natural qualities, such as fertility, or the slope of the land, or the climate, etc. See, whether the land is whether the land is productive or not, or depends upon the fertility of the soil. Okay, if the land is fertile, then obviously productivity is going to be more. If the land is barren, then what happens? Obviously the productivity will be less, isn't it? Likewise, land which are very fertile and plain are more productive than the land which is rocky and slopey. Rocky and slopey are what? Less productive. So it depends upon the natural factor also, whether the land, the land can be productive or unproductive. So productivity of the land also depends upon the various natural factors like this. Okay, like as I said just now, fertility of the land, or whether the land, the landscape, like whether it is rocky or slopey, or it also, and of course it also depends upon the various climatic factor also. Okay. Now let us see the second point. The second point is the size of the holding. The size of the holding. Now the size of the holding means the area, in simple language it means the area of the land. Okay, now see, the productivity of the land also depends upon the size of the holding. As I said, size of the holding means the area of the land. Okay, now see, the productivity of the large holding means the area of the bigger piece of land. Okay, so the productivity of the large holding is high. The productivity of large holding, that means the productivity of the land will be high if the holding is large or a big. Why? Because in big plot of land or in a big piece of land, farmers can take the advantage of various technology and all. Okay, they can take an advantage of modern techniques of production or large scale production. So therefore what happens in the large holding, the productivity will be more. But on the other hand, just the opposite, but if the size of the holding is small, then what happens? It may be very difficult to adopt the modern technique of production or increase the size of production. So that way what happens is that in smaller holding, the productivity will be less compared to the holding which is large. Okay, so productivity also depends upon the size of the holding. Right. The next point is human factor. Yes, human factor. Now, what does this mean then? See, as I said last time also, in one of the characteristics of land is that, land, what we saw, one of the characteristics that land cannot produce anything by itself, isn't it? Okay. So the human factor has to be active on the land to make it productive, isn't it? So land cannot produce anything on its own. Okay. So we require a human labor. We require human labor to make it productive. You understood? Okay. So therefore, the productivity of the land also depends upon the knowledge and the training of the worker. Okay, knowledge and the training of the worker. Like for example, a trained farmer. Suppose if a farmer is more knowledgeable, he has a lot of knowledge about the thing that he is doing. If the farmer is trained, then what happens? A trained farmer can. What happened? The trained farmer can take more produce from the same piece of land than the farmer who is untrained. You understood? The farmer who is trained can make or can take more produce, or more produce means what? You can get more output from the same piece of land compared to the farmer who is untrained. You understood? So human factor is also very much responsible, or contributes a lot to the productivity of land. All right. Well, now the next factor is improvement on land. Yes, improvement on land. Now, see, besides the natural factor, there are other factors also which helps in increasing the productivity of land. Okay, so productivity of the land also depends upon the various, the various kinds of land development measures that we have. Okay, that we can take. Now what are those land development measures that we can take besides the natural factor? Natural factor we have already discussed. The natural factors like fertility of the soil, a climatic factor, or all those things are are also very much helps in the increasing the productivity of land. But besides the natural factor, even what I said, you can make a lot of improvement on the land to make it productive by giving additional other measures. Okay, additional other measures here means what? Now, other land development measures and programs that we have. What are those then? Like for example, provision of irrigation facilities. Okay, like the wells or the tube wells by by artificial besides depending not just besides just depending upon the rainfall or etc. like that, nature, we can also artificially irrigate our field to increase the productivity of the land. Okay, and besides that, proper drainage system, these are some of the factors that we can add to the natural factors to increase its fertility. And like fencing and all, providing good drainage system of or irrigation facilities, these will be an extra aid to the natural factor. Okay, so these are, this way we can make some improvement on the land to increase its productivity. Okay, well, the next factor is the location of the land. Yes, the location of the land also to some extent, are responsible for increasing the productivity of the land. Okay, how? Suppose let's take an example. Land which is, close to the market is supposed to be more productivity than the land which is at a distant place. Now, how? In what way? See, because the land. Suppose if the land is close to the market, then in what way it will help it to increase the productivity? Then, well, in that case, what happens is that this will, if the land is close to the market, this will help the farmers to reduce the cost of transporting their product or a produce, whatever they are produced in their field. That will help them to reduce the cost of transporting the produce to the market. Okay, suppose if their land or a cultivating field, cultivation field rather, is at a distant place, then what happens is that the cost of production will also increase. Why? Because the cost of transporting the product from one place to another place will increase. So that way, the productivity will be less, isn't it? So the location of the land is also very much important in increasing the productivity of land. Okay, well, that's it. And then we have another point, that is ownership of the land. Okay, ownership of the land means who owns that plot of land, that who owns the plot of land who's cultivating. Suppose if the owner is the ownership of the land, when we talk about the ownership of land is also a very important factor affecting the productivity of land. Now, in what way? See, the owner, suppose if you are owner of the land, then the owner of the land always takes much interest in maximizing the productivity of the land, isn't it? Not only that, it also, if you are the owner, if you are the genuine owner of the land, then that will give you a sort of encouragement to work hard, isn't it? To work hard and increase the productivity compared to the person who is the tenant of the land. Suppose if you are the owner of the land, then obviously you will get all, you will have all sort of incentives or the encouragement, because it is your land. So you will full-heartedly, you give your everything to increase the productivity of the land. You'll either by working hard or by doing anything else. You give your all heart and soul to improve the productivity of the land. But suppose if you are a tenant of that land, that tenant means you are not an owner, right? So if you are a tenant of the land, that sort of encouragement and that sort of encouragement will not get instilled in you. Why? Because you are always in the fear that the owner of the land can take the ownership anytime from you, since you are a tenant. isn't it? So ownership of the land also matters a lot in increasing or decreasing the productivity of land. Okay. Well, the next point is the proper use of the land. Okay. Now here, when we say the proper use of the land, what do we mean then? See, the proper use of the land also greatly helps in increasing the productivity of land. Now, in what way? Like for example, okay, suppose you have a plot of land which is very suitable for the cultivation of tea, you know, which is very the land is very fertile and very suitable for tea plantation, for example. Okay, then but instead of you are going for tea plantation, instead of planting tea, you say for example you sow a paddy there. Okay, so you're trying to get a rice out of that piece of land, which is of course, but that land is not suitable for rice. For example, that land is very suitable for the plantation of tea, but instead of planting tea, you are what, sowing a paddy. You're trying to get a rice. So what will be your outcome? Obviously it will be low, isn't it? Why? Because the land, you're not using the land properly. Okay, you're supposed to plant a tea. Suppose if you had planted a tea, then what would have happened? The outcome would be, the output would be good, but you're not using the land properly. Instead of planting a tea which is suitable, okay, which is suitable, you are planting or you are sowing a paddy. You're trying to get a rice of it. So what will be the outcome? The outcome will be low. So the productivity of land also depends upon the proper usage of the land. Okay. Well, the next point is state help. Okay, state help. Now, what does this point mean then? State help. See, state help. Your state here means what? State here means the government. Okay, so the state or the government can help in increasing the productivity of land by providing various kinds of aids and facilities, aids and facilities to the farmers. Like what are those aids and facilities? Like for example, say irrigation facilities or proper irrigation facilities, or providing chemical fertilizers and pesticides at a subsidized rate to the farmers. Okay, so by providing all these kind of facilities, as I said just now, proper irrigation facilities, or or making chemical fertilizers and pesticides at a subsidized rate, at a reduced rate, by making or making credit facilities, cheap credit facilities available to the farm, by doing by giving all these kind of facilities and aids, even state can help. In the state here means what? The government. Okay, the state or the government can help in increasing the productivity of land. So well, today we studied two important topics, that is the function and the importance of land and the various factors determining the productivity of land. Okay, so for today we're going to stop here. We shall continue the same lesson in coming up classes. Well, till then, stay tuned and stay safe.